From the Grow Louisiana Coalition, I'm Jennifer Crockett, and this is Makin' Energy. 2023 marks a new stage of the oil and natural gas industry, fueled by unprecedented American investments offshore and on land. It's an energy evolution.
It's incredibly significant for job opportunities because, according to one calculation, there are potentially $80 billion of carbon capture and sequestration projects potentially planned for Louisiana.
The promise? American-made, reliable, clean, and affordable energy built on a mix of existing and emerging technologies. Louisiana is the key.
Probably the best stat on this is that over the past 30 years, emissions from Louisiana plants have reduced by over 75%, while our output has actually grown. So you put all that together, and the fact that LSU is going to be taking a leading role in this, is being proactive, is very smart for the school and very good news for the future workers of Louisiana.
On this episode of Makin' Energy, an inside look at how Louisiana is landing the multi-billion-dollar handshake between industry and innovation. Michael Hecht, President and CEO of Greater New Orleans, Inc., is our guest. GNO Inc. is the regional economic development nonprofit organization serving the 10-parish region of Southeast Louisiana. Together, we will explore the work happening today to secure a wealth of opportunities for tomorrow. Under Michael's leadership, GNO Inc. has been named the top economic development organization in the United States. Before joining GNO Inc., he led disaster recovery programs, consulted on international business strategies, and even opened a series of restaurants. Michael has been recognized as one of the 10 people who made a difference in the South, one of the 20 business icons of the tricentennial, and 2018 CEO of the Year. Michael holds an MBA from Stanford Graduate School of Business and an undergraduate degree from Yale. Michael, welcome to Makin' Energy.
Jennifer, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
When you're trying to attract jobs or investments to our state, what's your pitch to the energy industry for coming to or staying in Louisiana?
That Louisiana has the technological, the workforce, and the political, importantly, the political context in order to pursue these goals of both the economy and the environment simultaneously, like nowhere else in the country. There's no other state in America that has a combination of assets, know-how, and political wherewithal on a bipartisan, unanimous way to support this like Louisiana. And that's why companies, not just from the country, but around the world, for example, we're in close contact with a number of companies from Denmark, are very interested in Louisiana because they see Louisiana as potentially the home base for the domestic market for these types of operations.
The American Clean Power Conference was just held in New Orleans over this summer. Leaders from all 50 states and more than 30 countries were here exploring opportunities for new energy innovations. So what do Louisiana's current energy workers need to know about these new opportunities and also the security of their current oil and natural gas jobs?
What the workers in Louisiana should know is that what we are going through is really not an energy transition, but really better described as an energy evolution. So those same skills, those same individuals, in most cases the same assets that we've used to power the world for decades are now going to be used to power the world with existing fuel sources in a lower carbon application or new fuel sources, but using the existing skills. And so let me give an example of that. We are now working on green hydrogen. Green hydrogen is hydrogen used as an industrial feedstock to make things like ammonia to make fertilizer to feed the world. But going forward, instead of making it from natural gas, which produces carbon, we're going to be making it from water. By splitting up water, the only byproduct of that is pure oxygen. But if you're a process technology worker or if you are an engineer, all those skills that you were using when you were splitting up natural gas, cracking natural gas, and creating hydrogen that way to make ammonia, you can use to create hydrogen out of water. The process technology is analogous. And so your job is not at risk. The skills will evolve, but in a way that's very consistent with the curricula that places like River Parishes Community College and UNO and LSU have been teaching for decades. So yes, we're going to have to shift. Yes, we're going to have to grow. but there's probably no place better in America, better positioned in America for that evolution than Louisiana and our workforce.
And you have the Greater New Orleans 2022 job report that really backs up that opportunity. Can you go through some of those energy jobs that have just seen tremendous growth over that decade of study from 2012 to 2022?
Yeah, the numbers are pretty stunning, but they're real numbers. 130% increase in chemical equipment operators, a 55% increase over the past decade in drill operators for oil and natural gas, and almost 170% increase in plant and system operators. So what's happening is that our industry is not shrinking, it is evolving so that it can continue to grow while reducing impact. And probably the best stat on this is that over the past 30 years, emissions from Louisiana plants have reduced by over 75% while our output has actually grown. And that's the dichotomy that we're so proud of and we think points the way to a clean energy future.
And that brings us to our next question, which is all about H to the future. So tell us, what is H to the future and how can it help grow the industry in the region while also protecting our environment and our communities?
Well, as we said, hydrogen is an important feedstock in Louisiana. People think of hydrogen as an energy source like a hydrogen fuel cell. We're not talking about that use. What we're talking about is that in a lot of industrial processes, making fertilizer, refining steel, refining diesel, hydrogen is a key component. Traditionally, that's made by cracking natural gas, which means splitting up natural gas that creates carbon. But if you make green hydrogen, you make it by splitting up water, using what's called an electrolyzer. That electrolyzer, if it's powered by clean energy like wind power, means that you're producing a chemically identical hydrogen molecule with zero carbon footprint. That is the impetus of H to the future. And according to McKinsey, if we are able to shift from gray hydrogen to green and other clean sources of hydrogen, we can continue to grow all of our jobs in the river corridor, but reduce our carbon emissions by up to 70%. And that's the kind of win-win between the economy and the environment that we think represents the responsible and really truly exciting path forward for Louisiana and the country.
You mentioned wind earlier. There was a big deal with Shell coming in on wind. Tell us about some of the other big wins that you've had for the industry in this evolution.
Wind for Louisiana is actually a triple opportunity. The one that's the immediate opportunity, it's already happening, is Louisiana designing, building, and servicing windmills on the east coast of the United States. Some of the biggest windmill operating companies in the world, like RWE out of Germany and Ørsted out of Denmark, are looking to Louisiana to be the supply chain as they try to build these facilities off the coast of New York, New Jersey, Virginia, Connecticut. So that's the first opportunity. It's us selling shovels to the gold miners of wind. The second is us using wind to create green hydrogen. That's H to the future. And what's so exciting about that is that Louisiana is the highest per capita hydrogen user in the country and the number 2 overall. So there's a lot of industrial demand, which actually makes the model work economically. And then finally, there's actual deployment in the Gulf of wind power for a number of uses. Part of it can be for plugging into the residential grid. So for example, Entergy recently announced a partnership with Diamond Offshore, which is a subsidiary of Mitsubishi, to do wind power in state waters. There are going to be bids on federal waters off the coast of Louisiana and Texas that many companies, including Shell, for example, are interested in because they think that as technology continues to improve, they're going to be able to complement their energy sources, not only for residential use, but now, for example, to power oil rigs using wind power. So we have 3 opportunities. We have us being the supply chain, industrial use for green hydrogen, and then finally wind the way we think about it, which is a windmill powering our television set. And all 3 are happening at this point.
On the next episode of Making Energy, we will have the interim dean for the LSU College of Engineering on to talk about their new carbon capture and sequestration concentration. They just graduated their first class of students. What does that mean for job opportunities?
It's incredibly significant for job opportunities because according to one calculation, there are potentially $80 billion of carbon capture and sequestration projects potentially planned for Louisiana. The reason for this is threefold. One, companies across the board are getting pressure from regulators, customers, and their money people to do a better job with reducing carbon impact. The second is that through the Inflation Reduction Act, which is really a clean energy bill, there are billions of dollars of incentives available for companies now to do carbon capture. And then third, finally, Louisiana has a unique geology that makes it very appropriate for carbon capture. So you put all that together, and the fact that LSU is going to be taking a leading role in this, is being proactive, is very smart for the school and very good news for the future workers of Louisiana.
Louisiana is primed to lead the energy evolution into a lower carbon future. So I will name a few reasons why, and then you can let our listeners know how these advantages will help shape Louisiana's low carbon energy future.
Perfect.
Here we go. Louisiana has abundant natural resources and an industrial footprint with the highest per capita industrial hydrogen use. That's one. Our transportation capabilities are unmatched, with Louisiana housing the densest pipeline system in America and the second largest port complex in the Western Hemisphere. Number three, our legacy workforce and heavily invested oil and natural gas industry have the unique skills, experience, and infrastructure to lead the next wave of innovation. So, Michael, that's resource, transportation, and innovation. So what is happening right now to capitalize on all of Louisiana's energy advantages?
So much, and I think it is important to give it that background that you just did, which is frankly, I mean, the reason why the Saints are black and gold is that oil is called black gold, and the Saints were founded by an oil man. So it's really part of our legacy and part of our culture. What you're seeing is innovation in both traditional hydrocarbon energy and then in new renewables, both of which leverage those resources that you just named. And so if we look at the traditional industry, let's take carbon capture, for example. Carbon capture is a technology that's endorsed by everybody from the United Nations to the Biden administration, to the oil and gas majors, as a way of still using hydrocarbons as a key fuel, because 40% of the world's energy, for example, is from oil, but doing it in a way that dramatically reduces the impact on the environment. In this case, Louisiana is particularly advantaged not only because we have the companies and we have the pipelines and we have the expertise, but we also have the natural geology with all of these formations underground into which you can actually safely inject carbon. And so we were literally born to do this. And that, combined now with the tax advantages in the IRA coming out of the Biden administration, means that we're having our moment in that. But the real advantage is that all of those assets that you named, in terms of our people, our ports, our attitude that we used for decades to engineer, to build, and to service oil and gas, we can now use to engineer, to build, and to surface offshore wind structures around the entire country.
So how does that all play into the opportunities for people who are currently employed in the energy industry, those who are maybe considering joining the energy industry, and also for the next generation, kids that are in elementary school or high school and are just getting introduced to this new energy evolution?
What it means is that Louisiana is poised for the next generation to be a leader in energy. Some of that's going to be in traditional hydrocarbons done in a cleaner way. Some of that's going to be in renewables, which are going to be led by wind, but also include biofuels, battery technology, solar, and even nuclear. And so if you want a career in energy, particularly one that requires just an associate's degree to make a six-figure salary, all of these areas are going to be very attractive.
So many opportunities on the horizon. Michael Hecht, President and CEO of GNO Inc., thank you for being our guest today on Making Energy.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Next time on Making Energy, the science behind energy's latest innovations. What is the difference between green and blue hydrogen that we're hearing about now?
Well, the first thing to say would be the hydrogen itself, there's no difference. Hydrogen is hydrogen. So the green and blue refers to how we get that industrially.
Hear from Dr. Karsten Thompson, Interim Dean of LSU's College of Engineering, on carbon capture, creating hydrogen, and the phone call that sparked a whole new concentration at Louisiana's flagship university.
So when I talked to the companies, I wouldn't have been surprised if they would have said, this is really important to us, but we're mostly transferring our experienced engineers into these units. And that really wasn't the case. Every single company I talked to said, you're thinking about doing this? Absolutely. We cannot wait. When are you going to get your first graduates going to be coming out?
That's on the next Making Energy.